Hey there. So here we are, Sarah Santacor and Melissa Davis. And we're here actually because we have a little bit of a conversation to have around niche, as Sarah would say, because we both work in this space. We both have experiences around niche that are really unique. And our own personal experiences and the experiences of our clients kind of come together in really interesting ways. And what we're both noticing is that getting to your niche causes a lot of confusion, frustration. It causes a lot of stress. And entrepreneurs can get really in their head around how to get to your niche, make it more narrow, forget about it altogether. And it's just this real source of stress. And so we both have some different opinions about what that means and what we ought to do about it and what works for people. We all agree, though, that it's way more complicated than it needs to be.
Mhm.
I'm really curious, Sarah, what your take is on this idea that we must have a niche, we must have a narrow niche. And if we don't, we're really kind of lost in this whole entrepreneurship thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good to have this conversation. I think it got triggered by this meditation that I just uploaded to Insight Timer about I can't remember the exact title. I
That's
should have
right.
written that down. It's something about finding peace if you're not sure about your niche, right?
Hmm.
So, and that's exactly because I know that there's so much anxiety around niching and in getting that right. And what until not too long ago, and probably still is, the mainstream opinion about niching is that you have to have, like you said, a very narrow niche and a super clear ideal client. And to me, they're almost like two different things. And I do totally 100% agree with having a very clear idea about your ideal client. Because if you don't have that ideal client in your head, then your communication, your marketing, your sales is just going to be lost in this, kind of online space. And that's a mistake that a lot of beginning coaches and entrepreneurs make is like they speak to everyone and then no one feels concerned.
Yeah, we
So I
feel all
think
this
on that
pressure.
both of us agree, right? Like
Yeah,
we both
I
agree.
remember early on just feeling like, but if I say it this way, right, people over here won't like it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they'll think it's weird, or
Right.
something like that. And
Yeah.
so you also get this pull to not narrow down your niche when you're earlier and you're not get clear on the only people that you're speaking to in the room,
Right.
right? So you also have this pressure to talk to everybody. So it's
Yeah.
like this dueling pressure.
Exactly. Yeah. So on that point, I very much agree. Yes, we have to have this really deep thinking about our ideal clients. And that's the thing to me. It's like they can be different kinds of ideal clients. And I
Hmm.
think that's where the niching part for me, that's where the stress comes from because a lot of people tell me, but I don't know if I just want to work with women aged, 40 plus and who have kids. And like we have these ideas of the demographics of how this niche that is super narrow should look like. And they're like,
Hmm.
but maybe I enjoy also working with, other people, not just
Yeah.
that person. And so that's where for me, that's why it's kind of like one of my quotes that I often use is make your worldview your niche.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is that, okay, you have to have your ideal client work on that. But then when I talk about bringing in your worldview and making that your niche, it's really about working more on the bringing more of you to your marketing, to your communications. and standing for something. You and I had a conversation about that on my podcast, right? Like
Mhm.
that's what I mean by making your worldview your niche, so that
Yeah.
it actually then the people self-select. They filter themselves, and by saying, okay, this is my ideal client and this is my worldview, so the both of them go together. And by
Mhm.
worldview, to give you an example, yes, it can be politics, but it doesn't have to. It can be like my why. That's part of my worldview. It's like my why means that for myself, for humane marketing, it's like, well, we need a better way to run our businesses and to do our marketing so that we as humans can feel better, so that humans can change the world, right? So
Yeah.
that's part
Our
of my
beliefs.
worldview. Yeah, it's our beliefs, our values, what you work on. And so to me, those two together are then not exclusive, because
Mhm.
it's like, well, they can be men, they can be women, it can be any kind of sex, right? It doesn't matter. It's not so specific.
Mhm.
What is specific, though, is that they have those shared beliefs. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of like a self-selection process rather than me going and saying, no, they have to have all of this criteria.
Yeah, it drives me crazy when there's these, like, arbitrary selections, in understanding your niche, when people are, like, forcing you to say, "Well, how old are they?" Right?
Yeah,
When that's not relevant to the
right,
problem that you want to help solve for
right,
certain people, right?
right.
Or the beliefs that you have. When there are these qualities that are completely irrelevant to, like, boxing in your, ideal clients, your ideal customers, to me, it just seems so stupid. It's
Right.
asking the question is this category of narrowing in relevant at all,
And sometimes it
to how
might
I
be
want to serve?
because you're working with
Yeah,
a certain specific age, but you're
yep,
right. Like for me, for you, it completely doesn't matter. So why would we narrow it to a certain age? Now, if you're a
right,
menopause coach, yeah, obviously it's like very
right.
specific, right?
It's yeah,
But and that's
um,
great. But again, I think even with that specific niche, if you then add your worldview and there, it's a very easy example. Menopause. Well, there's the women who believe in hormones and the women who don't. Well, that's a worldview right there. Is like, are you believing in traditional medicine or are you believing more into alternative medicine?
right,
And that will then self-select, help your clients self-select and see, oh, this is not for
yeah.
me, right?
When you talk about what you believe.
Exactly.
Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it does. It really that's a really interesting approach. So instead of worrying about declaring the niche, focus in on what you believe and how it's relevant to what you want to help people accomplish and do.
Right, and uh, more on that resonance level,
Yeah.
because in the end, when we say ideal clients, kind of in the old paradigm, we just describe them as walking wallets. Is like, is
Yeah.
this my
Yeah,
ideal
these
client?
avatars of people
Yeah,
who are ready to
yeah,
hand you money.
exactly. Well,
They haven't ever handed me money, those little avatars. I don't know about you, but
and so in the new paradigm is more like, well, do they resonate with me? And so if I only use my left brain to describe this ideal client, to describe this niche, then there is no resonance at the
yeah,
end. So
it
that's why.
drives me crazy when I see somebody directly in their marketing go, if you're a woman between 14 and 85 who loves to X, Y, and Z and is experiencing this, then I can help you. And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, you should have gone to talk to Sarah or me.
Yeah, it's just it I think it comes from this place of fear of missing out, that at the
Totally.
beginning we feel like, oh, we can help anybody. And
Yeah, I wanna help everybody. Everybody
yeah,
deserves to be helped by this.
right,
And the reality is, like, if we choose to, we could help in all of these different areas, but most of us just don't have the capacity for that, and as you said before, that message won't make any sense. It won't land with anybody. If we're trying to land with everyone, it won't land with anyone.
Yeah.
because we're just like you said, we're not making that deepest connection, which is when we talk about what we believe, what we stand for, when we express our worldview, people are attracted to us and they
Right.
go, it builds that trust, it builds that
Exactly.
respect. It's that I want to work with you because you believe what I believe.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
So true. And it might be that if you're just starting out, you need to first find out, well, who do you really enjoy
yeah.
working with and who can you really help the best. And so maybe it's a bit of a trial and error at the beginning, but
I
usually
love
after
your
two
approach though.
years, it
I
can.
really love your approach
Mm,
though, because if, what you're saying is don't worry about declaring that niche.
right.
Talk about your worldview.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you've got to have some idea of the problem you want to help people solve,
Yes,
right?
of
But as
course.
far
Yeah.
as
Right.
and there's this, where you meet them, but if you don't know that, right? And what you want to do is start and figure the rest of that out, right? Just speaking from a place of what you believe, of that worldview of whatever, you're gonna start attracting the right people, and then you're in the sphere of the right people, and you're gonna start to figure the other stuff out. Because when you're in this room with all of the people that you could help, you're getting inundated with all of this information about how you could go down this path, and this path, and this path, and that path, and your head spins, and you've no clue what to do.
What this really takes is to go deep and start, with yourself. That's what
Right.
and that's why both of us do this work. And
Yeah.
because the traditional marketing tells you find your niche and here's how you do it, find your avatar. It's everything is
Like, just pick.
outside.
Like, just
Yeah.
pick.
It's like
Pick.
outside of you, right?
Yeah.
And so then you basically spend 5 years trying to chase after these avatars and putting communication out,
And it doesn't come naturally,
and doesn't
because now
it
you're
feels
manufacturing everything from scratch, and it means
exactly,
nothing
it
to you.
feels like you're not your business, you're a slave of your business, basically.
And you're doing no favors to the people around you
No, no.
because they feel spammed.
Mm,
They don't if they don't feel that natural connection, I mean, I got 3 in my inbox right now where
yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
I don't know anything about you. You don't
Yeah,
even you don't know anything about me."
yeah.
And yeah, it's really it's a real struggle for entrepreneurs who are well-meaning and have these amazing things that they come to the table with in their business. So, how do you propose that people get started when they come to this point in their journey where they're really interested in doing it differently, where they're interested in human marketing, where they're
Mm,
interested in a humane approach to their business and how they get there and how they connect with the right people, and they forget about calling it a niche, and they want to do it in a humane way. They want to do it in that like self um that center approach.
yeah.
How do people get started?
Yeah. And I love how you said at what point in their journey, because as we just said, usually people, I do have exceptions where they're like, no, I want to build a business from the start based on who I
Yep.
am, and
Yeah, and
congrats
that
to
does happen
them,
sometimes. Yeah.
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 It's
I'd say
like
more often than
awesome.
not,
I
they're
wish I
coming
were
where you're
you
coming
20
from.
years ago,
Yeah.
I didn't have to do all the detours. But most of the time, yeah, people unfortunately have to do a little detour and do all the the pushy stuff or the recipe for success, the six-figure approaches and all of that, until they come to a place where they're like, I can't do this anymore. This really doesn't feel good to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't create a sustainable business because I have to keep hustling. I have to keep, pushing people. And so that's usually when they're like, okay, what else? What else is out there, right?
To me, it's like you run into the dead end of like, I have to start DMing people
Right. Yeah.
on social media,
Yeah.
right? Like to me,
The
like that's I'm finding this
desperation.
group of
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
like coming
Yeah.
together and saying, there's gotta be just a different way. I'm
Yeah.
also seeing that like there's this level of skipping over getting that foundational clarity, which is where both of you and I work. We both work, well, I work strictly in foundational clarity, and you're a little bit different because, and let's define foundational clarity for those who are listening. So, foundational clarity is what we're talking about. We're talking about understanding the people that you want to serve, right? Understanding the problem that you solve, what you stand for, your values, your beliefs, right? Those details to the depth that you need to.
Right.
And and I leave it there, right? That's all that I do. Sarah, you take them to that next place through your work. And in that next level is that strategic clarity. So there's foundational clarity, and what needs to happen is you have to be kind of sound in that foundational clarity, whether that's coming from a place of attraction, right, where you are leading with your worldview, for what you stand for, those beliefs, and you're allowing it to attract the right people. I would argue that there are some pieces, other pieces at the foundational level, as I'm sure you would too, right? That you need to understand about your business. But what I see happening is entrepreneurs are filling in the blanks at the foundational clarity level, right? They think they're doing these exercises to narrow in on their niche, but they're not connected here.
Hmm.
And so they get out into the world and try to execute a strategy around it. Or the next piece is execution clarity. And you need to have your foundation set before you can move into strategic clarity. And you need to have strategic clarity before you can move into execution. And what's happening is you start moving into strategy or you jump all the way up to execution and they're just tripping all over themselves. And
Right.
I'm finding that there's these cycles of kind of trying to go up into strategy and trying to go up into execution and just it blowing up because there isn't the clarity below it. There isn't that foundation below it to guide them. And so the strategy doesn't work or they abandon it or, they, end up paying somebody to do social media because it doesn't feel natural because they're not coming from that place of confidence and conviction and love. And so but it doesn't work and they don't
Right.
know why it doesn't work. And then
Yeah.
they get to that place in the journey where they're just like, this isn't what I signed up for. I
Yeah,
need to
it
do it
just
a
gets
different way.
too frustrating. It's all about throwing spaghetti at the wall at this point. The
Right.
execution, I think that's where, yeah, that's where I usually see people spend most of their time is in the execution. All
Yeah.
the content creation, production, like they have these giant production mills where they create lots of content and yeah, there's no strategy. There's no
Right.
clear thinking of, well, where does that lead, where's my customer journey and all of that. So that's the
Yeah.
strategic part, but like you said, it needs to start even under that, right? And that's why the
Right.
foundation is so important. I'm just going to hold up my
Yeah.
7 P's of humane marketing. So
I was gonna ask you
the
about that.
the foundation really is the passion and the personal power. So it's very much what we talked about. Passion is, well, defining your why. Why are you in business? What do you stand for? What is the thing that you want to change with your business? Because
Mhm.
I mainly work with people who are change makers, who are in business not just to pay their bills, but to create change, right?
Yeah.
And they go into business with that thought, but then they get so caught up with the execution that they forget why they're in
Right.
business and they don't communicate about that anymore. And so it's like that's the foundation and that's why you always have to go back to. And then personal power is what you do a lot with your clients, which are the beliefs, the values, kind of like the who am I in this business, so that I then find the right clients who resonate with who I am.
Mhm.
Where usually mainstream is the opposite. It's like, how can I find clients who will like me? Right?
Right. I'm
That's
like, how do
usually
you
what we're
find
taught
clients
to
you
do.
like?
Yeah. It's like, well, no, let's turn this ship around. It's like, it's my business. I want to work with clients who are aligned with me
Yeah.
and my way.
And you'd be, surprised how many deal breakers we end up realizing about, like, who we're meant to work with and who we're not meant to work with.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's it's actually sometimes in the Marketing Like We're Human program, there's like big breakdowns because it's a big realization when you realize, oh my God, how come I've been doing this for so many years and just was in the wrong circles. I was working with the wrong clients, or I was creating the wrong ecosystem basically
Yeah,
around me, right?
yeah,
And why? It's because we didn't start with ourselves. We just kind of went with the flow and then just got,
yeah,
somehow dragged into the wrong direction because the
yep,
foundation wasn't there. So
yeah,
yeah, so that's the foundational clarity, including people, which we talked
yeah.
about it is the ideal client. And then since it's really a marketing program, then I go into the P of product, pricing, promotion, and I added partnership because
Oh,
that's what
partnerships
we're
are
doing right now, right? That's
mm,
to me, that is the new way of doing business. It's all
I
about
100% agree.
collaboration and
With the
partnering and
right people.
yeah, with those same people that are aligned with our values and our
Yeah.
beliefs, right?
And it's funny because you might think like, well, it's interesting because we do a lot of the same things, right? And in traditional business, you wouldn't want to do something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. It
You
would be
wouldn't
like
want to say,
competition.
why?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you and I have never seen each other that way.
No.
We have such a strong overlap in our values and what we believe about business and creating this new way of approaching entrepreneurship and alignment and that conviction. We share these beliefs that we need entrepreneurs who are aligned and are showing up in their power, because I know for me, and I believe you too, like if we're going to advance humanity, if we're going to solve big problems, we need more people stepping into their personal power, into their potential, because there's so much potential there and it gets lost in this old business paradigm, and I'm kind of done with it.
Yeah, that's the
I know you are
manifestor
too.
talking.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love it when the manifestor comes out. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
Um,
exactly. So true.
yeah. So I know you have a program that's coming up,
Mhm.
and I'm really excited about it. Tell us more about it and when it starts and how they can like do it, because let's
Yeah.
do it.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, so it's called the Marketing Like We're Human program, aka the Client Resonator. So it's really this topic of, yes, we want to do marketing like we're human, and we also want to resonate with our clients. And I've been running this program since 2019. I ran it first with 3 beta groups because I really knew this is going to be my life's work. I'm going to create the
Mm,
program that I'm going to love and that people are going to love, and people are loving it. But it's a special kind of people that are loving it, right? It's those
of
kind of
course.
people who are like, yes, that's what I want. I want to create change. I want to create my life's work. So I'm not just interested in hustle and making 6, 7, 8 figures. Yes, money is part of it, and that's in the pricing P, right? But
Mhm.
it's not the main driver. The main driver is really this change. And what they want the program for is courage to do marketing differently and do business differently, and just different examples of how to do marketing not in the way that they usually see it online.
Mhm.
And so yeah, that's the kind of person that is enjoying the program. I have people who have zero experience, so they start out. I have people with 2 years, 2 to 5, or even people with 10 plus years, and they're just at this pivot, where they had a business because it had to pay the bills, but now they're like, no, but look at the times we are in. I need to use that personal power of mine and really create a business now that is going to create that change. And so it's just realizing also there's a big focus on bringing more of you to your marketing, and so that they can really love their business, right? It's like, this is me. I'm not they're not feeling separate from their business anymore or from their marketing. So that is like a big weight of off their shoulders, because it's
Yeah.
like, ah, I can breathe, I can be myself. I
Yeah,
think that's
especially
the
when you
big
wanna
thing.
show up to your life's work, right? When
Yeah.
you know that, you're on this path to creating your life's work, and you're not gonna get there truly if you can't get that alignment, if you can't figure out how to do that,
Yeah,
um,
because it just feels
the
like
better
you're
way.
wearing a mask the whole time, and people are so tired of that.
Well,
So
and how about, like, you can't even get to your life's work because you're just spinning, you're doing all the
yeah,
things, and
yeah,
it isn't even getting you anywhere.
yeah. And so really, I think what we misunderstand sometimes is that this different way of marketing on the work we are doing, like going forward, that is the competitive advantage that people will have.
Mhm.
Because you and I know, and I'm a big fan of technology and even AI for certain things. But this human connection, your business is called Humanity Inc. I'm talking about being human the whole time. That is our competitive advantage.
It
But if we're
100% is.
still applying the old business paradigm, if we're still applying the old way of marketing, then it doesn't feel different from all the
No, and you
AI
use AI,
generated
you're just
content.
amplifying that, right?
Exactly.
Amplify this.
So it's a lot about, well, how can we use technology? Yes, but how do we humanize everything? And how
Mm.
do we do that by knowing ourselves better. You and I are big fans of human design, and I talk about human design in the program a little bit as well. Just like
Ooh, cool.
knowing who you are so that you can bring all of that into your marketing, into your
Yep.
business, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's really exciting. And it's this, really taking that core work, that foundation, and pulling that up through a marketing plan that I find really exciting. I think that it's to have that alignment right from the very beginning and to pull that through is really powerful. And I've heard amazing things, from, that you've shared from past students. And yeah, so I
Yeah, thank
jump
you.
on board with this because it is a big competitive advantage. And that competitive advantage is really just what allows us to go and do the work that we're meant to do instead of just staying stuck down here. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm just going to
thank
say
you.
when it starts on August 22nd, this coming August. And people can go to humane.marketing/program if they want to find out more about it. And it's one of those programs where we actually get to talk first. It's not just like, pay me the money and I'll sign you up. It's like, no, let's have a human conversation about it and see, what questions you have, if you feel like you're a good fit. I find that so important. I've been in online business for almost 20 years, but I I don't think I ever signed up for a program anymore where it's just like, give me the money, right? Unless I know the person and at least have a chance to get on a call and
Yeah.
chat. I think that's where it starts, really, is this human connection, right?
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, especially for a program like this.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
going to be a small group. It's not like there's
Yeah.
200 people. It's going to
Yeah.
be like a small community where people really get to know each other and
Yeah.
help each other. So, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Thanks for
Yeah.
the opportunity to share. I want to turn the mic and just ask you also how you work with clients on that foundational clarity.
So what's interesting about that is things are shifting for me. So I've done a lot of approaches, and in the last couple of years I've only been doing one-on-one coaching. And I'm actually transitioning to creating some courses, one specifically on how to create what I call an impact statement. So that I'm so deep in that, and it's really emerged for me over the past couple of years. And so I'm really deep in that right now. And that's coming out in a couple of months. It's not ready to be born
Exciting.
yet, but
Mm,
it's close. But so right now it's one-on-one coaching, and then I'm going to be transitioning into creating some courses as well. Because as a manifester, and we'll talk about like human design, I'm not necessarily meant to create a business in a way that requires that real consistent energy for me because that's not how my design works. And if you
Yeah.
get into this program with Sarah, I'm sure she'll talk to you a little bit about different design and how that shows up in your business, which is completely fascinating. And we don't, that's a whole nother episode. But for me to be able to create some courses and provide more access that's not quite as expensive as one-on-one coaching with me, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing we talk about in pricing is this idea of fair pricing.
Yeah,
So having these different options of access, I think that is a fair model, right? It's like not
right.
everybody can afford
No,
one-on-one coaching. Of course, it takes time to build these different options,
and
but
some
I
people
think,
want to and choose to, and
yeah,
are really looking to do that with me, you know? And
exactly.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, and then there's a lot of this I know with and just briefly, that's a big challenge for impact or purpose-driven entrepreneurship is this idea, and I think we come with a lot of money wounds.
Yeah.
Right? We come with a lot of, of limiting beliefs around our value tied to our work.
Right.
And it sounds to me like, this program really, we talk about pricing, like directly talk about pricing and what that really looks like in
Mm.
a fair model,
Yeah.
right? Because I think sometimes we undervalue ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Where
Sure.
the business market is telling you double your prices,
Mm.
just double.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. See how
what do
much
you
they can
believe?
bear.
There's
Like,
no market value anymore
yeah.
to judge or to understand what fair marketing or fair pricing looks like. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to sneak preview on that
Yeah.
unit.
Yeah, I'll give you that. No, it really is like it starts with me sharing my money story. And
Mm,
so it's a hybrid program. And so there's always a video portion and then we have a live call. And so yeah, it's like, well, here it is. Here's my money story. And that's how deep we have to go with these things
you do. You have to. You have
because
to understand where you're coming from and why it's influencing what you
exactly.
believe
Yeah.
you're worth, because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
we come from this place, we we're tying, for right or for wrong, our personal value to our work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a hard place to be. It's a
It
really
is.
vulnerable place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't
Cool.
change whether you're just coming out of corporate or you've been in entrepreneurship, for many years. It's
Right.
still it's like you're selling your worth. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I love that deep stuff. So
me too.
it's
Obviously we do, right?
exciting. Yes.
Yeah, very cool. Well,
Wonderful.
this was really, really fun, and I can't wait to do this on another topic.
We'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, we've got AI, we've got human design, we've got lots of
Lots of
stuff to talk about.
topics. Yeah.
So,
Wonderful.
um,
Well,
but
thanks
thank
so
you,
much
and
for
look into Sarah's program because it's taking that foundational clarity and it's moving it up, up the pyramid. And that's where we need to go to get our work out into the world and in a meaningful way. So thank you.
thank you, Melissa. Thanks for hanging out.